The real world of millionaires and how you can get there too. What do you think of when you think of someone who's rich? I know for me, I think of big houses, fancy cars, maybe someone who's really flashy, a little outlandish, and likes to spend money. Well, I've quickly learned that the folks I just described are either made up on television or people who didn't typically make their own wealth. Now, of course, this is a generalization, but I only use it to quickly illustrate the perception of someone who is financially wealthy. However, like most things, it's counterintuitive. Because in his book, The Millionaire Next Door, Thomas Stanley paints another picture of who a real millionaire is. You see, he spent years researching the behavior of millionaires all over America, from many different parts of the country and from many different backgrounds. And the reason he did this was to see if there was anything that was consistent about them, but more importantly, if there's anything that we could learn from them. So he shows us that self-made millionaires think very carefully about their purchases, and they often don't look rich. In fact, in the book, he describes how these self-made millionaires are typically first generation, meaning that they didn't inherit their money. They typically buy cars that are 10 years old that they now own outright, and they live in traditional, established neighborhoods. So why is this worth mentioning? Well, when money is earned, there is the possibility of having a deeper meaning to it. For example, with a car, they are more interested in something that is proven and reliable than something that is new and flashy. Also, they don't have a car payment, so there isn't a monthly debt associated with the car. When it comes to homes, old traditional neighborhoods typically have better schools and less crime. So why is this important to mention? Well, anytime that I observe someone successful, I like to ask myself, what can I learn from them? So if I were to synthesize this, I would say they are rich because they are disciplined and they stick to a plan. They also value security over looking good. Also, based on the choices of these first-generation self-made millionaires, it's clear that they have plans in place that prevent them from randomly spending money or getting further into debt. So this was a bit of an aha moment for me. If you don't have a personal firewall or a well-defined plan in place before going shopping, you are bound to spend more money than you can afford to. Look, I've done this several times in the past and ultimately have paid the price over years and years of paying off credit cards that contain bad debt. So, looking at myself and looking about these facts that Thomas Stanley found, this led me to another principle. Typically, average people live beyond their sustainable means, meaning that they spend more money than they bring in. By contrast, wealthy people spend below their means, meaning that they have more money than they spend. Well, here's one step that you can immediately put into place in your life now to begin the process of living like a millionaire. And that step is waiting before a purchase. As a hard, fast rule, wait a minimum of 24 hours before purchasing anything over $100. While you wait, ask yourself if you need this item or if you want this item. Are you buying out of necessity, or are you purchasing something based on your emotions in the moment? I like to do an exercise where I envision myself using this product. Questions I like to ask myself are, what would I use it for and how long would I use it? This way I can determine if I want it in the moment or if it's something that's going to add long-term value to my life. This simple step allows you to get past the initial high that you get when you see this item and you start to have the desire that you want it. It also sets up the conditions to have a mindset of need versus want. And the great thing is that these are skills that can apply to everything from eating healthy, weight loss, relationships, and yes, even emotional freedom. So I will do more videos in the future that talk about how this applies. And there's one thing that also occurred to me as well. If you're purchasing something really big, so this principle still applies, and if you're purchasing something really big, like a new car or a house, take at least 2 weeks, if not more, to really research it and make sure that you're getting a good deal. Millionaires are wealthy people, but they don't buy things on emotion. Rather, they buy with evidence and look at what's going to benefit them for the long term. If you are currently living beyond your means in a debt-based model and you don't change, it's only going to get worse. Financial troubles often affect you emotionally and physically by inflicting unnecessary worry. You see, rich people aren't cheap. They are wise in the ways that they spend their money, and you should be too. So put this action step of taking the time to think about your purchases immediately into your life, and the long-term results will astound you. If you like this video, please leave me a comment below, and thanks for Rethinking Ritual.